15 million people displaced, up to 2 million dead.
It's logical.
Well, the sheer scale of the human cost of the partition of India in 1947 is almost incomprehensible.
It really is.
Today on The Deep Dive, we're tackling this pivotal, devastating event. We're specifically looking at the role of the British Empire using a detailed podcast script we've analyzed. Our mission really is to understand the key factors that led to this immense tragedy and, its enduring consequences.
And it's that magnitude, the human suffering, that truly anchors this whole historical moment, doesn't it? To really grasp partition, as our source material highlights, you need to look at the long-term impact of British rule.
Right.
And the crucial decisions made, or maybe just as important, the ones that weren't made. And of course, the leadership involved, both Indian and British, during that incredibly volatile time.
Okay, so let's rewind a bit, go back to the 19th century, like the script suggests. The British East India Company. Its influence was, well, it was way more than just trade and politics, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It really permeated the whole social and political fabric of the subcontinent.
How so?
Well, the British actively identified and then crucially solidified existing social differences, especially between Hindus and Muslims.
Solidified.
Yeah, what's really significant is how they kind of enshrined these distinctions in their legal frameworks, their political systems. They were basically laying the groundwork for later fragmentation.
And this wasn't just like an accidental side effect of them running things.
No. The script is pretty clear on this.
The divide and rule strategy seems, well, deliberate.
It absolutely was. By amplifying these communal differences, the British aimed to weaken any sort of unified resistance to their authority. It kept people focused on internal divisions rather than the colonial power.
Makes sense. And
the script highlights how they even fostered the growth of religious political groups. The Muslim League is a key example here, receiving encouragement. What's so insidious about it is it didn't just recognize divisions that were already there. It actively kind of hindered the development of shared political identities, identities that might have, helped navigate towards independence more peacefully.
So fast forward to the early 20th century. Indian nationalism is growing stronger. You've got figures like Gandhi, Nehru. Their vision is for a united, independent India.
That's right. That was the main thrust of the independence movement for a long time. But you also had the Muslim League, under Muhammad Ali Jinnah's leadership, increasingly pushing for something different.
A separate nation.
Exactly. Pakistan, the land of the pure. Their argument was essentially that separation was needed to protect Muslim rights and interests, especially in areas where they were a minority.
And this idea started gaining real traction.
It did. The script details how their goals sort of shifted over time. Initially, it was more about getting greater representation within a united India, but gradually it hardened into a demand for complete separation.
Then World War II hits. Our source points to this as a major, major turning point.
Absolutely critical. Britain poured enormous resources into the war. It left them significantly weakened globally. Their capacity to hold on to the empire just wasn't the same.
And Indian leaders saw this.
Oh, they definitely recognized it. They saw this weakening as a golden opportunity to push hard for independence. The leverage had shifted.
But it's the way Britain decided to leave that's so problematic, isn't it?
Yeah, precisely. The script really emphasizes the rushed nature of the exit. Lord Mountbatten, the last viceroy, he made this decision to accelerate the whole timeline.
Setting the independence date for August 15th, 1947.
Yeah, which left an incredibly short period for all the essential preparations. You already had this fragile political situation, and then the war's impact on Britain's ability to govern. Just compounded everything, and then boom, this deadline.
And that lack of time, it just had devastating consequences. You can see it coming.
Totally predictable in hindsight. There was simply no adequate planning for drawing the new borders, figuring out how to protect minorities on either side, or managing the huge population transfer that was basically inevitable.
It sounds like chaos was almost guaranteed.
Consider the job given to Sir Cyril Radcliffe, a British lawyer who, as the script points out, had never even been to India before.
Incredible.
And he gets just 5 weeks. 5 weeks. To draw the border that would split the subcontinent. The inadequacy of that time frame for something so huge, so complex, It's staggering.
5 weeks. I mean, can you imagine redrawing a map for millions, a place you don't know, knowing the impact?
Exactly. Radcliffe had no real grasp of the intricate social ties, the culture, the local economies, how communities actually work together on the ground.
So the line he drew.
The Radcliffe line, it just arbitrarily cut through provinces like Punjab and Bengal. It literally created borders overnight that sliced through villages, farms, sometimes even people's houses.
Just lines on a map, disregarding everything else.
Pretty much. The script highlights how this division just ignored the interconnectedness of life there. People who were neighbors one day were in different countries the next.
And the result?
Yeah.
Well, our source paints a grim picture. A human catastrophe.
Unimaginable scale, really. You had trains carrying refugees across these new borders arriving as ghost trains, just filled with the dead.
Horrifying.
The forced migration was enormous. Millions of Hindus and Sikhs desperately trying to get to India, millions of Muslims fleeing towards Pakistan.
And the violence.
The script doesn't hold back. It was horrific. Entire villages wiped out. Unspeakable atrocities, particularly against women. Communities that had lived side by side for generations suddenly turned on each other with brutal violence.
There's that quote in the script from historian Yasmin Khan.
Yes. Partition was not simply a line on a map. It was a profound and violent rupture in people's lives.
It really hits home, doesn't it?
Yeah.
These weren't abstract political moves. They had a devastating, deeply personal human cost.
Which brings us, inevitably, to the question of blame, responsibility. The script explores this too, and it's complex, no easy answers.
Right. There are different angles. Was it mainly the British administration's fault? The hasty withdrawal, the poor planning?
That's one perspective. Or do you focus on Mountbatten's specific decisions, the accelerated timeline?
Then there's Jinnah and the Muslim League, their insistence on Pakistan. Was that the key factor?
Or you could look at the Congress Party's stance on power-sharing arrangements in the lead-up. Did they miss opportunities?
It feels like the script lands on the idea that while pinning blame on one single entity is tough.
Exactly. It suggests that the ultimate tragedy was that ordinary people paid the price. They suffered the consequences of leadership failures on all sides. Failures compounded, of course, by those long-term colonial policies we talked about.
And the impact didn't just stop in 47.
Not at all. If you look at the bigger picture, partition basically poisoned relations between India and Pakistan for decades, created these deep, deep communal scars within India, too, between Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs.
And Kashmir. The script points to Kashmir as a direct, ongoing legacy.
A persistent flashpoint, absolutely. Directly resulting from the chaotic way partition happened, the borders left unresolved.
It's striking, isn't it, how those memories, that event, still shapes everything. National identities, politics, conflicts in South Asia today.
It remains a deeply felt wound. In many ways, it's still unhealed history.
And it's so important, as the script reminds us, to look beyond the big political story. Partition was intensely personal for millions.
Families ripped apart, lovers separated forever, children lost in the absolute chaos and confusion.
These weren't just numbers.
No, they were individual lives shattered, irrevocably changed. The script wisely points towards things like Urvashi Bhattalia's book, The Other Side of Silence, and all the survivor testimonies.
Why are those so important?
Because they give you the lived experience. They offer an understanding of the human reality of partition that, official histories or political accounts often just miss. The raw personal cost.
So reflecting on all this, what's a key takeaway? The script seems to emphasize the massive impact of decisions made by empires.
Yeah, the profound, often devastating effect on individual lives, especially when those decisions are made by people far removed, people who don't have to live with the immediate consequences on the ground.
It definitely resonates with current discussions about Britain's imperial legacy, doesn't it?
It serves as a really stark reminder, a reminder of the immense human costs that can come from, colonial arrogance, maybe. Policies that are poorly thought out, rushed, badly executed.
So as we wrap up this deep dive on partition, it feels crucial to hold on to that understanding. The choices made back then, they're still echoing today.
Absolutely. It's a powerful testament to the enduring human cost of political decisions and, the very long shadow that empire can cast.